lot of sunshine, blue skies, marine clouds. Just the perfect day to go outside and relax. That's your forecast. We'll be right back.
Yeah, sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, but again, away feels like it's been a freaking decade.
Hi, welcome back to another exciting episode of Contracts and Cocktails. I'm Carolyn Smith.
And I'm Kellie Bowling.
We're with the Coastal Estate team at Compass, and we are excited to be here this new year and talking about some real estate topics we hope you'll find interesting. And today we thought we'd talk about how do you choose a realtor when you're a buyer?
Yes.
Because, you know, a lot of people they go on to the internet and they do a little search and 5 realtors call them and they just end up with one.
Right.
And that's not always the best realtor for you.
True.
You should be concerned if the realtor is looking out for your best interests. And that's the main thing. And you sort of know that in your gut. So you want to be thinking about, does this feel right to me? And you should never feel bad if you have a gut feeling that that's not the right person for you. And you can very nicely say it. Hey, you're great, and I appreciate all the advice you've given or help you've given, but I think I'm just going to go in another direction.
Yeah, and it does happen. You know, everybody is not for everybody.
Yes.
Personalities can clash.
That's right.
Value systems can clash. So it really, you should do a little bit of research. Ask some friends. Who do they recommend or who do they not recommend? Because they might have another story for you.
Right. And then there's reviews.
Yes, reviews. Google reviews, Zillow reviews, like wherever you're reading your reviews. Don't rely solely on Zillow because some of that stuff is paid too. But I feel like Google reviews, that's where I go for all of the people that I'm trying to hire to be a part of my, business life or whatever. I'm looking on Google to see.
Yeah, me
I mean, I do that for restaurants, doctors, hairdressers, all of it.
Hotels.
Yes, big type of hotels.
Which one has the bed bugs? Don't go there.
We don't want to go there. This is true.
Yeah. So I feel like that's super important with the realtor. Feel comfortable. Look at the reviews. Don't be concerned if the realtor's new. Kellie and I both have, a lot of experience. But if you really connect with someone and they're new, that's not necessarily.
They have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, if nobody ever gave me a chance when I started in the business, that would have been sad for me. But I think they could see how much I cared about the transaction and not just like making a paycheck. It was like I really wanted to find them the best home. Right. And I loved the aspect of going out and looking at the houses and pointing things out and learning about, all the aspects of it, like home inspection and everything.
Right. And the realtor is never going to know everything. The question is, will they find out for you?
Yes.
Will they go through the trouble? Will they find out for you? Are they your advocate?
Right.
So we came up with some questions to ask your realtor. So Kellie, take it away.
Okay. So first of all, when you're interviewing realtors that, maybe you're considering working with, I think the most important thing you should ask them is this your full-time job? Yeah. Do you have another job? Is this a part-time side hustle for you? Because it shouldn't be. If you are going to entrust the biggest purchase you're ever going to make as a human being to somebody who they're treating it as a side business and not their full-time gig, then, maybe that's not a great fit. There are plenty of part-time realtors out there that are doing it because they want to purchase their own investment property or they want to help out family members or things like that. And that's fine. But I think when you're purchasing a home, you want to make sure that, whoever's working for you is working for you around the clock.
Yes, that's their job, their profession.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. They're not just doing it, from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m., 3 nights a week or something.
Because if let's say they're at their day job, at their office and they're not allowed to take non-work related phone calls while they're there, and you have something come up, like your lender has had a mishap or there's been an issue with the inspection, because you want your agent to be able to attend that summary if you want them there so that you can also be there. And if they can't be there because they're doing their other job, that's a problem and it's a conflict for you. So I think it's super important to make sure that they're able to be there, at 9 a.m., they're able to be there at 3 p.m., they're able to be there at lunchtime, wherever they need to be, then they can be there. Right. I mean, we obviously can't be in 25 places at once.
Why not?
I mean, we can because we have each other. But
well, and that's like a good point. So if someone's just starting, let's say they're just starting, they can't afford to quit their their full-time job and they sort of are dipping their toes in. If they are under a team with a mentor and then that person sort of is overlooking and is there to fill in, then maybe that works, maybe that's an option. And their goal is to be a full-time realtor.
Right.
But they financially, I mean, it's a tough thing.
It's expensive to get into. Yeah.
It's expensive and you have no income until something sells. So you're out there putting yourself out there. Then the person says that to you, then great, Then you could go ahead because you've met the other agent.
Right.
That's and important. You feel comfortable with both people, then yeah, that's different. Then that's go ahead. Oh gosh, see, I didn't remember my notes today, so we're doing the Carolyn's version of she didn't remember her notes, and yeah, that's not going to work. But anyway, okay. So the next question was, how long have you been a realtor, and what was your? If you haven't been a realtor for a really long time, let's say you've been a realtor for 6 months, and you may say, I really like this person, but are they, what's their background? So you ask, what's your background? Are you just out of school? Did you have a previous profession that maybe led into this? Right. What is it that makes you feel like, or makes me feel like you're qualified to sell me a house?
Right.
So I think it's important to know how long they've been doing it. And again, not that rules them out.
Right.
But, it's a really good thing. I think we've talked about this before. Like maybe when you're new and you just sort of are not on a team or you're not part of a group, that's a really tough thing because
it is. It's one of the hardest questions that I always dreaded would be asked of me, when I was brand new, because I was on my own initially. And it came up often, how long have you been doing real estate? And so I had kind of like an around the bend kind of way of answering the question because I actually first started working in the industry in 2005, but I didn't get licensed here in Florida until 2017. So, but I was licensed in another state and I had a long gap. So I was like, I first started working in real estate in 2005 is what I would tell people. And so that made it seem like I had this long history. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either.
Right.
And I'm not saying that an agent should be lying to you, but I had always loved the real estate industry. And even when I wasn't working as a realtor, I was always looking at listings, not just where I live, but my hometown, keeping up with like the market and things like that. So,
well, and you incredibly hardworking. So it's like then, somebody could feel that from you and feel comfortable no matter what. But it is good to be part of a group when you're new or something. Yes. I feel like
it was huge for me to have, to be able to join a team that, because right after I joined, my mom got really sick and I had to leave for a couple weeks and she passed. And I had the team here, like you guys were out like showing properties for me, selling houses. And, it was great to have that system because I wouldn't have had that otherwise on my own. I would have been like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm dealing with a personal issue in my family and I can't help you right now. And I probably would have lost those buyers. So.
Right. And the buyers were protected then too.
Yes.
So that's a really good thing for them.
So the next one is, what is your goal for me or us as a team in representing you as the buyer? Like, that's what you want to ask them. Like, what is their goal? Is their main goal to, bring home a check at the end of the deal? Or is it to find you the right property that meets your needs and as many of your wants as possible within your budget and to make sure that, you're smooth sailing along the way? Because their stuff does come up. It happens in every real estate transaction. And you want an agent who's going to like absorb those bumps for you so that you're not feeling them.
And I feel like even though we can sit here and say like, of course somebody could answer that question, you would be surprised. So if you ask that question, what is your goal in working with me as a buyer? What are you looking to accomplish? You might be surprised that the agent does not give the answer that you want them to give. They might say, I want to find you a house as quickly as possible. And that might not be your goal.
Right.
So you want to make sure that your goals are in alignment with what that agent's wanting to do for you.
If I told you how many buyers I've taken out that, you're going out and you're looking at homes. It's their first time out and you go into the first house and it's actually an amazing house. And they're like, well, I cannot buy the first thing I see. You're right? It's like this thing that's in your head. And it's like, it's okay. We're going to go look at more homes.
Yeah.
And then it might be that was the one. And you'll see that after you see other homes. I did this to my own husband when we were looking for our first house. Like I had already gone pre-looking, with my realtor.
Yeah.
And then he was overseas. And I'm like, he's never going to go for the one that I want. It's above the budget that he had in his mind. And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to go for it. And I was like, so I have a plan. I'm going to show him all the gross houses when he comes home. We're going to go look at
way to go.
all of those first.
Yes.
And then when we get to this one, it's going to be like,
yeah,
and it totally worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that whole save the best for last really is true.
It was true. So I was so glad I didn't show him the one that I wanted first, because he would have been like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
No, it's not happening.
After he saw all the gross things, he's like, maybe our budget can be a little bit higher.
Right?
Yeah. It's not a bad technique for a realtor either.
It's actually not, but
show you the ones that are in budget
usually
first.
I just do the ones that they tell me they want to see. The ones they're most excited about seeing, we go to those first. And then, sometimes I do a little pre-research. I'm like, oh, that one's going to need a roof, and call the agent. Are the sellers going to be willing to negotiate that? If they're like, absolutely not, there's nothing wrong with it, I'm like, okay, we might have a problem here and maybe we need to regroup. But for the most part, like, they're steering the steering wheel and I'm just along for the ride.
And what's funny is I'm so bad about, like, I'll get in my head, I'm listening and I'm like, they want this. This is the house they want. And they're like, no, we don't want to see that. And I kidnap people. I literally have, you're in my car. Now we don't ride in the car so much together, so it's a little bit harder, but I would still be like, just humor me, just follow me here. And, and you get that way too. It's like, we might not do it right off the bat, but after a couple trips out.
That's how my first house was sold to me by this realtor here. It was not in the budget. It was not even on my radar. She was like, let me just take you over here and show you this house. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I went and I fell right for it.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes that's the right house.
It was perfect.
So, it's not so bad. Do you have another realtor that would cover for you if you're out sick? So if you're not part of a team, and so when I started in real estate, I was not part of a team for many, many years. I was on my own. And, I made sure. Now, if you're out sick, that's different. But you still sort of want to have friends or an agreement with someone like, hey, can I give you a call if I'm not going to be around? And when you're on vacation, you need to have an arrangement for someone to cover for you. And what's surprising to me is we'll have people contact us and they're like, oh, yeah, my realtor's out of the country or my realtor's not available for a week or whatever it is. And I'm like, who's representing you? Who is taking care of you as the buyer? Because if you're calling me, I'm representing the seller.
Right.
I'm representing the seller.
And honestly, your agent should be the one calling us to say, hey, I'm out of town. I've tried everybody in my office. Nobody's available, whatever the case may be. But
can you take my client, which is fine. But when the person calls in, like, we can't even reach the agent.
Yeah.
We can't even reach the agent. So if your agent's going to be out of town, do they have somebody who's going to, or they're sick, or you really want to see something and they're not available? Do they have somebody that they kind of work with? And usually agents are friends with other agents.
Oh, yeah.
And we have someone we can call. And that's what I had. I had a couple friends and we would call each other and cover for each other.
Right.
So you want to make sure you have that as a
I know when I was on my own, we had like a board for our office, like on Facebook, and people were always reaching out, hey, can somebody, show a buyer a house this weekend because I'm going to be, out of town, or I'm having surgery next week. Can somebody cover for me? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see, as a newer agent, that it wasn't so cutthroat, like I had imagined that it would be. And I'm sure it can be at some offices, but I just wasn't in an office that was that way. I feel like it was very family environment, and everybody wanted to support each other as much as they could to some extent.
Right.
And then when you join a team, it's like, everybody wants to help you because it helps the team if you're doing well. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, very true.
So the other question would be asking your agent or the agent that you're, thinking about hiring, if they have a list of professionals that they can recommend to you for everything. So when you're buying a house, you need a lender and you need to have a home inspector. You're going to probably have to get a survey done if you're getting a mortgage. You may need other types of inspections, not just a regular home inspection, but you might need your septic inspected, or you might need the sewer line scoped, or just different things that come up. And that's just during the transaction. So then after the fact, let's say you bought a house, the roof is fine now, but it's going to need a roof in about 5 years. Do you have any roofers you can recommend? Do you have a plumber because I want to redo the bathroom? Do you have any flooring because that carpet's ugly and old and I need to replace it? How about a painter? Like all of these tradespeople, do they have relationships with people that are local that could service you after the sale and during the sale?
And that they know are good.
Oh, yeah.
They know are
tried
good.
And true. Not just they looked it up on Google and they picked one, because anybody can do that. You can do that. But if they have a true spreadsheet of professionals, which we have our vendor list that we use, and people get added and removed on a regular basis. Like if we have a client that complains and says, hey, this didn't work for me, or if we have a bad experience personally, because a lot of them are on there because we've used them in our own homes. And, they get added in and taken off, subtracted, as needed. So I feel like we keep the list really current.
We do. And I think it's funny because years ago, I had a client and we provide the list, to our clients, and they went to move somewhere else. And I sold their home. I recommended them to another realtor who was great and in another town, another state. And they called me and they're like, hey, that realtor their office doesn't have that list. How come they don't have that list? And I'm like, it's not the brokerage that has the list. It's not the realtor. It is the realtor. I mean, whether the realtor puts that list together, and a lot of realtors don't. We do that. Right. But I was like, well, if they don't have a list and they don't have anyone they can recommend, I can't give you a list. It's not because the brokerage has it and they don't know where it is. Right.
Yeah. They just haven't made or developed it.
Yeah.
Right. So they probably could throw out some names to you, but our list is exhaustive. It's like anything you can imagine, I feel like is on that list.
Is on there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty neat.
It's good. I
mean, I use it myself when I'm like, hey, I need such and such. And I'm like, do we have anybody for that? So
we
it's
use
helpful.
The list. Yeah. We use the list. And if somebody, gets sort of a bad rap from a client, we'll research it. We don't just pull the person off the list.
We make sure that they didn't just one person have a bad day.
Yeah, which we all do.
Yeah, for sure, it does happen.
And the last one is, I think, what do you think I should be asking you? What do you know that I don't know that I should be doing as a buyer? What advice are you going to give me as a buyer in starting? Right. What's the process? What should I be looking for? Those types of things. Is the agent sort of guiding you? I mean, it's funny because I'll read these things on, I don't know, Instagram or TikTok or whatever, the comments, and someone's like, well, why do you need a realtor? You should have a realtor. You should have a realtor because unless you're an investor, a super experienced investor, and shockingly, most investors use realtors.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, very few investors are going it alone. But you can't possibly know all the things. You're not an expert in real estate.
Right.
And so you're hopefully hiring someone who they're the expert or they're finding out all the answers for you. It's our full-time job. We spend a ton of time getting all this information, working on the process, working on everything so that the buyer, it's a very easy process for them. For a buyer to do it on their own, I can't even imagine.
And especially if you're a buyer that's moving to a new area that you don't know anything about and you're trying to buy a house. I mean, who but your realtor who lives here and works here can tell you don't want to buy in that neighborhood. Right. Because the school zone's bad. And for resale, you told me you only wanted to live there for 2 years. You're going to need to sell it. It's going to be difficult. Right. Do you know what I mean? To kind of steer you away from homes that aren't going to be a good fit for what you told us that you wanted, where you might see the house in the pictures and the house has everything you want. Right. But the neighborhood maybe doesn't, or there's not the amenities, or the school district isn't what you need it to be. Right. There's so many other aspects besides just the four walls and the roof of the house. Or
you don't know. I mean, a lot of people don't understand about cast iron sewer lines. Right. They don't know all the ins and outs. And where you're moving, there's different things. If I was moving to, South Dakota, I don't know the ins and outs of how do I make sure that the house is safe for snowstorm? Can I get up the road when there's a bad snowstorm? Right. What kind of services? Am I going to lose power? I feel like you just don't know those things when you're moving from out of town.
I think it's funny because a lot of people will assume that everything here is in a flood zone.
Yeah.
So they're like, I don't want to be in a flood zone. And I'm like, well, you're in luck because nothing I'm showing you is really? Yeah. I get that all the time. It's not in a flood zone. How's that possible? It's Florida.
And they also don't want any alligators, so you're out of luck there.
Can't help you with that one. Or no bugs. I love that one.
No bugs.
No bugs.
No bugs.
I'm like,
no
are
alligators.
you sure you want to move to Florida?
Yeah. At least it's not Melbourne, Australia with the big huntsman spiders.
Oh, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. And snakes.
They can keep those. I don't want those either.
We have snakes, but not those kind of snakes.
Not these big scary ones.
Yeah.
We did the little tiny scary ones that I still run away from screaming.
I know. I'm like, there's a bug in the bathroom. It's like this big. There's a bug,
Thank God for pest control.
Jen in our office, she's not afraid of bugs.
No, she takes care of the bugs for us. Yeah.
We don't not that we have a lot of bugs in our office, but if there is a random one.
Yes. Yeah, it was a fly that right before Christmas was just zooming around the office, hanging out because it was really cold. Remember? Yeah. And I'm like, I think he's escaping the cold. And for 3 days, he's just in there hanging out. Yeah. And then I came in on the 4th day and he was just dead on the floor. I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't catch you. We didn't do catch and release.
Yeah, I was afraid to put him outside. It was so cold then.
He would have died outside, so he died in the office. At least he died warm.
He probably just got hungry.
He died warm.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. We're going to try and talk about more real estate stuff. And again, if you have questions, please, reach out to us through any of our channels. We're on everything: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can also email us, hello@Coastal Estate Team. Ask questions. We'll do a podcast on your topic if it's interesting.
Or maybe even if it's not.
Yeah.
Is it super boring?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do that.
Maybe. We'll do boring questions that we don't want to answer.
That would be a good one. That'd be a great topic.
That would be like a fun podcast. So, but yeah, give us a call. And if you have questions on the value of your home, or you're thinking about moving to the area, or you live in the area and you're like, maybe what is involved in, home portability? A lot of people don't know about that. Any questions that you have on what's involved, just give us a call. 321-422-2160, and we will see you next time. Bye. Cheers.
Today's forecast, a lot of sunshine, blue skies, marine clouds. Just the perfect day to go outside and relax. That's your forecast. We'll be right back.
Yeah.